Radio Freccia. Libera come noi.
Okay, guys, welcome back to Italy. Alex, Bob, how you doing?
Thank you very much. Yeah, great. Good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too. Good to see you too. You're coming straight from Madrid, right?
Yeah, we were in Madrid yesterday and Italy today, and then we're going to go to Stockholm and then over to the States. We're going to go to California and up to Vancouver in Canada.
So from Madrid to Italy, then Stockholm, you're always ascending, right?
You got it, man. Yeah, you got it, yeah.
So is it metaphoric, the title of the single?
Well, we didn't write the song to be representative of where we are, but we chose it to be the title song of the album because it does, it represents what we're doing right now. We feel that the last Franz Ferdinand record was the end of a decade. It was literally the end of 10 years of the life of the band, and now this is the beginning of a new decade, and as a band, surely that's what you always want to do, to ascend, to move upwards, to kind of move to another place.
So it's not just about the charts. It's not just about
the charts. No, I mean, a lot of life is about the charts, but no, it's not just about the charts.
Okay, great. The next out, Always Ascending, is coming out in February here in Italy, 9th of February. The show will be on the 15th of March in Bologna.
Yeah.
Have you ever played in Bologna before?
We played quite a few times. We played a really early show in Bologna.
I think the first time we played in Italy was in Bologna.
That's right. I like Bologna as well. It's like got a good history. Like there was always a good punk rock scene there early on, and a bit of a squat scene. And I think I knew the reputation of Bologna before I got there. I'd heard other bands talking about it. There were a lot of bands in the Glasgow Music Collective, like sort of punk bands, had been over there, and so I said it's a cool city, and it is a cool city.
You know what? It's great to come to know that bands that comes from abroad know that not very popular city like Milan or Rome, but know something more about the maybe little cities, which is not little, but I mean, in comparison to Milan, Bologna is. So it's great to know that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, one of the greatest things about going on tour is seeing like the range and sort of like the details of a country. And for me, it's a joy coming to Italy and having played sort of like in Bologna, Milan in the north, and then going to like we played Sicily recently and played in Catania, and it's so different. Of course, all very Italian, but like such a different nature. It's like going between Glasgow and London in the UK. They're such different places.
Okay. Yeah. So the record is, having listened to it, is quite a new way to make people feel good. I mean, it's uplifting, it's positive, it's good to hear. You were talking to me before about listening the song on the radio, and man, it works because it gives a smile to me. Was that the purpose?
You're totally right. Like when you make a piece of music, you don't really know what it's going to sound like when it's out in the world, and the first time you actually hear something on the radio as an artist, it's a real thrill. It's a total joy. But yeah, you're right. We did want to make something that was uplifting. As a band, we've always wanted to make dance music, like play with a kind of rawness and the power of a live band, of a rock and roll band, but to be able to like sort of make you get up and dance. And I suppose with this album, we've been doing that again. But we've kind of tried to invert, like turn upside down the approach that bands normally take, which is to take the technology and apply it to the band. So like put everything in the computer and tidy it up and put it all on the grid. We wanted to do it the other way around, so we take the techniques of making dance music, but then play them live. So everything on the record is as played by the four of us, and I think that's what gives it the rawness.
What about the techniques of dance music? I mean, have you ever listened to Giorgio Moroder?
Oh my God, I love Giorgio. Yeah, Giorgio's amazing. Like he was the pioneer. You know, he was like guys like Giorgio and Kraftwerk they were the pioneers. They were what started everything off. And when we did the album with FFS recently, it was great speaking to Ron and Russell Mail, because they worked with Giorgio really early on, and they were talking about how he'd be sitting there with the sequencers and the early synthesizers, and getting the drummer to record the kick drum just on his own again and again, just completely by himself. To make those records, a lot of work went into them, and he was the pioneer.
Yeah, the idea of dance music for me is like to be a very, very much perfectionist. Very much of a perfectionist, because you have to get the beat straight and a lot of work.
Well, yeah, that's one approach, but then I also think of like guys like James Brown and the JBs or Chic, where it's all played. Like where it feels natural, and you see Daft Punk, who are kind of coming from that scene. I think in the Paris house scene, which I guess with working through Philippe Zadar, we've kind of got this connection with now. They've always been searching for the humanity in dance music, and that's why Daft Punk were asking Nile Rodgers to come and play on their record, because they want that human feel to it. And to me, that's the holy grail. It's kind of like making that music once you get up, but it feels really human at the same time.
Have you ever met the guy, the Nile Rodgers?
Nile Rodgers, yeah, I did. We played a festival in Hong Kong with him, and his tour manager came through to our dressing room and said, "Hey, Nile would love to meet you guys." Like, oh, that's
great.
Cool. Yeah, it's really exciting. And so we got chatting, and we were talking, and as you're talking, he was actually very easy to talk to, really lovely guy. And as we were talking, I said to him, Nile, like you've always been like a huge influence on the way I play guitar. And he turned around and said, "I know."
It seemed like a Star Wars scene, I know, I love you, I know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's So
great.
He's saying he's Han Solo to my Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Great. You know what? I can't take my eyes off your jacket, Bob. It's great.
Thank you.
It's classy. It's lovely. Did you buy yourself, or did they?
No, I bought it myself with my own money.
No, I mean, it was not suggested you chose it. Yeah.
No,
where did you
he is
pick
his
it?
own stylist.
Okay.
I bought it in an airport.
In an airport?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't.
Is that not glamorous?
No, I mean, I don't match airport and glamour.
That's why I was shocked when I walked past it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that looks nice.
And the pin, does it have a significance?
That's breast cancer awareness.
Okay, great. The band has had some kind of change in the past year. I mean, there has been some guys that left and some guys that came up. Did you make an entrance test to the new ones?
Yeah, they had to take part in an obstacle course. And no. Actually, there was a test. Like when Julian joined the band, what we did was we went out for a curry together. We went out for a meal.
Okay.
And we had a few beers.
Yeah.
To see if we got on.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a band together, you've got to socialize, you've got to hang out, you've got to be friends. You've got to be able to hang out together. And so before we played any music, we had to make sure that he was a good guy to hang out with. So we did that. Then next few days later, we went down to my studio and we went to the pub again and we went for a few more drinks.
And then we played some music.
But no music until we can work out where they can have a drink together and have a laugh.
How much time do you spend together a day?
Well, when we're writing, we were working 4 days a week or sometimes 5 days a week at the studio, Alex's studio, which is connected to the house. So we were pretty much in the same house 24 hours a day, like 4 or 5 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah, so quite a lot of time.
It's quite a lot of time, definitely. Yeah. And do you always write together?
Not always, but this record, it was a very collaborative process. And right from the beginning, we started and developed sort of like some of the time in Glasgow, but mainly in my studio, sort of like in the countryside.
Okay. And you know what? Speaking of the uplifting record and the positive energy that comes out of it, it's like pop music somehow, pop rock music needs to have his own revenge, because some people say that if it's not rock and roll, then it's shit. And hard rock and roll, okay. But pop music has its own value. It's valuable amusement, and somehow we need nights of pop music.
It's funny, isn't it? Like how people can still be very caught up in the genre and like, I only listen to one type of music. But I think the more that we enter the digital age, the less genre is important. Like I think when I was younger and I first started listening to music, a lot of my friends would only listen to one. I only listen to soul music, or I only listen to metal. But now, because it's so easy to access music, you just listen to whatever you can, whatever turns you on. And I'm the same. Like I love to listen to something. If something's good in hip hop, it's good. If I listen to something Kanye's done, I think it's exciting. I get excited about it. Anderson .Paak, I love that. But at the same time, I love to listen to Black Sabbath, or I love to listen to I don't know, lots of things.
Lots of things. Okay.
Yeah.
Which music were you raised by?
The Beatles, both of us loved the Beatles when we were growing up.
Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel, Leonard Cohen, the Everly Brothers. That's what my dad played. Queen, a lot of Queen.
A lot of Motown for me growing up as well.
Yeah.
Like
Motown?
Like a lot of soul music,
Okay.
that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was the kind of music my parents were playing. And then I guess when I was buying music for myself, I was getting into, I don't know, stuff like the Smiths and then the Stone Roses and a lot of punk, like the Minutemen and Dead Kennedys, that sort of stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, the thing is, in the common culture, rock and roll fucks but has no children. You know that they always are stuck in the classics. Okay, it's hard to rock and roll fans to move on and to have a new wave, which it was. I mean, the new wave, the brand new wave, and you maybe are the new wave, the new classic.
It's funny, isn't it? Like as a band, you can either look to the past, you can either live in the decade that made you, or you can look forward. And I think it's fine. You know, there's some artists who have their period where they did something extraordinary and they want to stay living in that decade. And then there are others. And then there are others who are constantly searching for something new. And I think we mentioned the Beatles. They're a great example of that. And also Bowie. You know, like one of the most inspiring things about Bowie was how you could always, no matter which record you listen to by Bowie, you can tell it's him. But the sound of those records was always so adventurous. And looking back on it now, we just see it all as Bowie records. But if you listen to Ziggy Stardust and compare that with just 5 years later, with what he was doing with the Berlin records, or then with Let's Dance later on, he was always pushing to do something new.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I take inspiration from. Like it's to be who you are, know your identity, but search for something new.
And that goes along with your genre that you mentioned before. That it's not about gender, it's about identity. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. I totally agree.
Great.
Radio Freccia. Libera come noi.